And I'm skiing through the woods with my hands behind my back, and I caught my left edge and I hit a tree. I disappear over the edge, slide down in the river, lay there 2 hours, and the cold water running over my neck prevented my spinal cord from rupturing. And that's why I'm walking today. And ended up in a coma for a week.
And it got to the point where you were ready to die. You had like made plans to leave
I had made arrangements. Yep. Dead my life. Yep.
because the pain was so brutal.
I'm in constant pain all the time. I sleep 1 hour a night. Half the night I'm screaming in pain in my room by myself. My wife doesn't even sleep with me. She sleeps in another room. So I was getting ready to go to Switzerland to end my life at Dignitas. It's an assisted suicide organization, but I had to prove I had intractable pain that can't be cured. So I was sent to a doctor, and the doctor evaluated me, and the doctor said, I was doing it on February 15th, 2023 was going to be my death day. I wanted to do the 18th, but it was a Sunday. It was the day I had the accident. So I went, and this doctor sat down with me, and they did a few tests, and they looked at me and said, you don't have intractable pain, you have neuroplastic pain, and we can fix it. I go, here we go again. So I go see this doctor, Dr. Schubiner at University of Michigan, and he sits and we talk, and he looks at me and he goes, Mark, you don't have intractable pain. I can't give you that diagnosis. You have neuroplastic pain, and we can fix it. Do you know how many times I've heard people say they can fix me? Do you know how much? I've had 9 major surgeries. I've done 25 milligrams of ketamine an hour for a week in a hospital ICU to try and reboot my system. I've done everything. People tapping on my back, people, rubbing my head. I mean, I've done every possible thing, and none of it ever worked. Wow. Why are you telling me this now? I don't believe you. I said, I can't keep doing this. This is crazy. I can't do this anymore. So I moved on to a bunch of different therapies. But in the end, I found these people in California. There's a book called The Way Out by Alan Gordon. And Dr. Schubiner gave me that book, and I read it, and I called Alan, and I started treatment. I go, okay, well, let's start. So part of it was cognitive behavioral therapy. And I had to go back to my childhood, and I was not well treated as a child. And so I was constantly under threat assessment. And threat assessment is the worst thing you can have when you have chronic pain, because you're always waiting for one cell to have pain, and then all of a sudden it goes everywhere. And they said, and also your 42 pain centers in your brain have wired together from all this chronic pain over the years, so any touch feels like pain. So in essence, I was addicted to pain. And they had done MRIs on baseball hitters, and they said the best baseball hitters, their visual, cognitive, and motor cortices light up instantaneously. There's no latency. That's why they see the ball in slow motion. That's why they see how it's moving. That's how they hit so well. You have a baseball hitter's brain on pain. There's cognitive, there's no latency in your system. Something touches your arm, you're in pain. So they helped me understand the system. Then they put me in transcranial magnetic stimulation, and they zapped my brain for 30 minutes to disconnect those pain centers. And they put me in a virtual reality lab with a helmet, and they repatterned my brain.
And it worked.
And it worked. I'm now out of pain.
How long did that take?
It took about 6 months. Yeah. And my first reaction was extreme anger.
Why?
I was so pissed.
Because you had endured it for so long? And
it was my brain. It was all pains in the brain anyway, as you probably well know, that it all happens in here. And that my brain betrayed me. I thought I was smart. And then the second thing I had was incredible remorse for my lack of empathy for people and how I treated people and how callous I could be. Because when I was in pain, it was like, I got to get this done. I don't have a whole lot of time here to argue with you. So let's talk about how we get it done. Now, I was patient, but I was not tolerant. And it should be the other way around. It's okay to be impatient, but you have to be incredibly tolerant to get things done effectively. And so I was in this, it was like going through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Then I felt like I needed to reach out to everybody and apologize to them and say, I'm so sorry if I ever treated you in a way that I didn't intend. And then I had to start controlling my emotions, because all of a sudden I had them again. As my amygdala dumped out. Your amygdala stores all trauma, and it doesn't date stamp it. So it sits there until you work it out. And so once I started doing that, I'm watching dog commercials, I'm crying. I'm going, what the hell's going on here? I had to go through all of these emotional and physical changes. All pain is in the brain. It's not in your body. It's in your brain and in the pain centers of your brain. And if you can exercise control over that, you don't make it go away, but you pay less attention to it. And part of my
Have you ever
paying less attention to it, when I had my injury, I had a psychologist come and see me, and he said, "Mark, you have to get back to work as soon as you can." 80% of the people that never work after an injury like yours, my exact injury, end up killing themselves. So you need to get back in the world. You need to re-engage. You need to find something important to do so that you can give of yourself. And through the endorphin release of that and the focus that you have to be able to do it, you can at least manage it. So first of it's cognitive behavioral therapy. So sort of disconnecting some of the beliefs you had, because like I used to shave the left side of my face. So I wouldn't shave because it felt like I was shaving my arm and it hurt. Because the brain doesn't let brain cells be inactive. They get connected to the next thing. And the part of my brain that was injured with the arm happens to sit right next to the brain cells for my face. So I said, well, it's connected. And they said, okay, well, let's try. We did a few exercises. So you go through a whole bunch of cognitive behavioral therapy, reframing the pain. But you need physical treatment. So I got TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. Then they fired it at the specific part of at the 42 pain centers in my brain, disconnecting them. Because what they said is after 18 years of chronic pain, all of those things wire together so that anything feels like pain. Your mental condition has as much to do with your physical condition. My chronic pain, I had 9 major surgeries trying to solve my chronic pain, thinking it was structural. None of it mattered. It only made it worse.
Yeah,
9
I mean,
major
how can a
surgeries in
doctor say,
18
"Hey,
years.
go and sit with your thoughts"? Like, yeah, you show up to a doctor's office and you're screaming in pain. You're saying, "Kill me, doc. I can't take this anymore." And he's like, "Oh no, go sit with your thoughts. I prescribe you 100 hours of meditation." Like that. How does that
So
work?
what you need so what we've done at what's called Health Tracks as a company I'm now helping fund and lead, is that we have taken the therapy that I've gone through on chronic pain, and we're now multi-purposing it for PTSD, same thing, anxiety, and we're rolling it out, and we're raising funding right now to roll it out across the country. This issue of neuroplasticity affects 1.5 billion people around the world, and it affects 65 million people here in the United States. So if we can get them thinking differently through cognitive behavioral therapy and some active things like TMS and virtual reality, and we can break the cycle. There are two real big emotions that hit me when I came out of pain. Number one was, how could I have been so stupid for 18 years? My brain's a good brain. Why didn't I figure this out? And it took me a while. I mean, I was angry with myself. I was like, I spent all this money. I had all these relationships that had to suffer through my pain all the time. Oh my God, what an idiot I am. And then the second one was, I now need to learn how to embrace these emotions I haven't felt deeply for 18 years. I almost need to go on an apology tour. I felt like I was, going up, like Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step program. I felt I was like on step 5 or something. I got to go tell people my story and why I was such and apologize. I mean,
What?
it was
Because
terrible.
you were so grumpy during the pain years. Is that why?
I was less empathetic than I otherwise am normally.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable, right? You're in extreme pain. You're not going to put up with a lot of
It
bull,
it
right?
you know what? But how many people have looked at you about your pain or said, I had one relationship. My first wife looked at me and said, I'm tired of hearing about your goddamn arm. Get a hold of yourself. Grow up. And it's like, this is not like optional shit. I'm not making this stuff up at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, but for those who are around us, I can also understand that they want to, like they want to live their own lives, and they don't want to just be always catering towards us thinking that our pain is the center of the universe. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
It's
But
exhausting.
the idea that we might be able to provide healthcare to those in need of some kind of solution to chronic pain outside of opioids with meditation, mindfulness, these other things, these alternative medicines, and possibly psilocybin. I mean, that really is the frontier right now. And maybe it's a combination of all those things.